This is another episode of Dr. Lanny Health, where we like to look at the issues of discovery, either the art or the science thereof. But this one is quite different, but it is related to discovery, and I'll have to tell you what I discovered. Over the last several years, avian flu and egg prices have been a topic of general concern, obviously, but the solution has been in the literature since 2014, and it seems like no one cares. I'm actually astounded, but I want to bring this to attention, what I have discovered by just being able to read and write. I saw this in the literature that it was possible that avian flu could be controlled by just a few dollars, a little bit of reagent in each one of the food substance of a chicken, and there would be no avian flu. So I'm not in poultry and I'm not in bacteriology, but I read this. I thought, well, I ought to bring this to the attention of the major people that are in the poultry industry. So I contacted Tyson and every other major company, no interest. I then contacted state boards of agriculture, no interest. I got so discouraged, I let it go, but in the fall of 2024, I came back to home and I saw in Michigan, Herbrooks, who is the major egg producer in Michigan, lost 4.5 million chickens, and I thought, oh, I can really help them. So I wrote a couple of FedExes, 1, 2, and nothing happened. Nobody responded. I said, these companies must have fabulous types of insurance. How could they tolerate losing 4.5 million chickens and not respond to what I thought was an inexpensive solution? No response. Then I learned who's funding this. The government is paying for the cost of the loss of the chickens, and because of avian flu, the company can then raise the price of eggs. What a deal. My losses are covered, they're paid for, and I have a public way to tell people why egg prices are so high. Didn't make any sense to me, so I kind of let it go. Well, then recently I got concerned that it just kept bugging me. So I then went to wrote FedEx to the USDA. I wrote a FedEx to the Health and Human Services. On the outside of the FedEx, I wrote solution to avian flu. No responses. I'm just like totally puzzled. So here's what we look at, the solution that's gone on. The government, with the new administration, followed this former pattern of solving the issue by reimbursing the companies that lose chickens up to $1 billion. Remember, the solution that I believe is in the literature could have this done nationwide, probably under several thousand dollars, not $1 billion. And then I told you, the companies love it. Losses are reimbursed, and then you get to raise the price of eggs or poultry because of avian flu. What a super marketing thing. You would think that somebody would care, but they don't seem to care. So now I do some reading and some writing. I'm putting 2 and 2 together, as you normally do for any kind of discovery. And here's what I knew from the literature. This is not my science, nothing that I discovered other than reading that, and by the way, I'm not a virologist, but I saw that the avian flu is a H9N2 virus. And I then saw that in the literature, which I've indicated here, 2 different authors indicated that back in 2014 and 2018, the solution to solving avian flu is by putting this reagent, protocotuic acid, which is a food substance, which is safe, which is approved by the FDA as generally recommended as safe for a food additive for flavoring for humans to use. Certainly, chickens can use it. So what about protocotuic acid? It's a nutraceutical, it's not a pharmaceutical, it's not a drug. And in 1989, to help you if you're not familiar with the word nutraceutical, it was coined in 89 by combining the words nutrition and pharmaceutical, which applies to most food substances, are nutraceuticals. And so in reality, what we're dealing with is a food supplement, protocotuic acid, that's found throughout nature. It's a part of the human diet. It's made by the human large bowel, and you'll find it in all of the processed foods that everybody eats, It's found in all fruits. It's found in all vegetables. It's in Coca-Cola. It's in Pepsi-Cola. It's everywhere. And it's safe and it's non-toxic. So what are the benefits in the PCA in the poultry industry? By the way, I didn't discover this. I only discovered by reading. So the oral root in chicken feed can be safe. It's a way to control the pathogens because PCA has a property of a broad-spectrum antibiotic and a biofilm destroyer. And also important for PCA understanding is it's in the literature that if you take protocotuic acid, actually, it will improve legacy antibiotics, their effectiveness by 50%. So it's safe and there's no reason not to use it. And in addition, it's not a growth hormone, but it has an anabolic effect. So it's already in the literature that improves the meat taste of the poultry that's produced. Not my work, it's in the literature. And finally, it's inexpensive. It wouldn't cost but pennies to have it in the food of the poultry industry. And as I mentioned, there's the additional benefits of the quality of the meat, which is in the literature, that protocotuic acid improves the performance of the meat quality and also improves the intestinal health of the chickens. In the literature, not my work. It's available for anybody to read. Now, a new strain of the avian flu virus came called H5N1. So is protocotuic acid going to work on the new strain? The answer is yes. It's in the literature in 2025 already that the new avian flu is subject to control by the protocotuic acid. Can be a benefit against both strains of avian flu. So that shows that in the literature that we have a patent exist concerning the treatment of avian flu, both species that are there. And so it's so clear that protocotuic acid should be able to control and or treat avian flu. And then there's a concern in the literature recently that avian flu is going to dairy cows. And it's the the H5N1 genotype, and that's also in the literature, and I've given you that citation. So what's PCA's mode of action? First of all, it's physical targeting. I think if this was a normal bacteria or virus, and PCA is not a normal rhomboid-shaped product, but it's actually, PCA has spears on it, and it physically disrupts and breaks the coating of the virus. Most antibacterial antiviruses are biologically based to disrupt the coating. PCA, 1, breaks the coating by physical, and 2, has biological properties that will also further destroy or inactivate the virus. So we have the physical targeting and then the biochemical. And the other interesting thing, since the way that protocotuic acid works is that it physically disrupts, it's possible that it's less vulnerable to antibacterial, antiviral resistance. And the other thing is that we mentioned before that the presence of protocotuic acid increases legacy antibiotics up to 50%. And how does it work? Well, the PCA antiviral mode of action I showed you was in how it affects the encapsulated virus. And the PCA goes from a powder when it's put in solution to many sharp crystals, similar to what I illustrated with my hands. So host targeting method is very critical for the control of a virus or even a bacteria. And PCA solution has the physical property of a multi-pronged spear. And I show here the illustration of a 20 times power photograph of the spheres on the protocotuic acid under polarized light. And I mentioned to you the importance of the host targeting method, and that's also in the literature, and I show you the citations there. So I want to have clear evidence that makes sense that why this is possible as a very simple, inexpensive way to control avian flu. And then I show you the disruption of the microbes coating, which is first mechanical and then biochemical. And so goes beyond the physical disruption, and there we have the additional modes of action, which I show the citation are also in the literature. And so PCA has an antiviral biological property after the physical disruption or the targeting. And we see the various things in the literature again of why that evidence is there. So how well would it work in addition to the feed? It can be sprayed a coating on metal, plastic, and the studies we've done, we did it on the metal, plastic, and N95 mask, and it can be put on the coating of clothes. It can be put on formites, the hard structures around, and the spray will stay on there for immediately inactivate anything that touches it. And the coating of the spray after the solution evaporates, you have everything is coated with the PCA, so anything touching it, if a duck or some other natural bird flew in and touched it and had infected, it would be disinfected at the time of touching. And so we have that scientific evidence from two different separate institutions for contract medicine. Now, in addition, there are Chinese patents about this. So not only is there an American, a U.S. patent, there are Chinese patents. And I just am puzzled this. So please help me. What am I missing? I can't figure it out. It seems to me that it would be a very inexpensive way to control, inactivate, and or treat avian flu, reduce the price of eggs legitimately, and also solve any other problem that might exist related to avian flu, even in the dairy industry. So my final plea is, what am I missing?